adjectives have been used to describe our next guest. Some have called his character revolutionary, goofy, or outrageous, but we here at the Star Wars Show Live think of him as the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Star Wars celebration welcome to the only galactic senator you can trust and everyone's favorite Gungan, the one, the only, Ahmed Best!
Told you.
Thank you guys, thank you.
Ahmed, welcome to Star Wars Celebration. It is so wonderful to have you here.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we were all so excited.
Look at this chair.
So 20 years since The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Celebration, and is your first celebration. How does it feel to be here?
It's really overwhelming, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Everyone is so wonderful, and it's just great to be in this room. The energy is palpable and exciting and so very positive, you know? Love it. I feel like everybody looks the same. I got older.
Speaking of which, I mean, we want to talk a little bit about the character of Jar Jar. Obviously,
yes.
Perception of Jar Jar has changed quite a bit over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Jar Jar fans, you're here, yes? You know, we're talking about people who maybe watched The Phantom Menace when they were 5 years old, 10 years old, who are here now 20 years later as adults.
Yeah.
Who grew up loving this character. Have you thought much about that since you've been here in Chicago and how that's all sort of changed over the last 2 decades?
Yeah, you know, George years ago told me that this is how it was going to be. You know, when he said, he was like, the kids that grow up with Jar Jar, they're not even gonna think about all the criticism that happened back then. And, you know, it was very prescient the way he said it, because that's what's happening now. There's an existence of Jar Jar that is very different. You know, everyone who was a child at the time had so much endearment for Jar Jar, and that they just grew up with that, and they kind of looked at their parents like, what are you talking about? You know, it was like people my age are the ones that, you know, were the Jar Jar haters, but the young people really gave a lot of strength.
Not all.
I love that. No, not all of us.
Present company excluded, of course.
So, you know, Jar Jar, and your performance in Jar Jar came about at a very transformative time in visual effects, and the work that you did with this character completely influenced how motion capture performance has progressed in the past 20 years. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like being, you know, one of the people on the ground trying to figure out that technology as a performer?
It was really, for me, it was very exciting. I was very young, but I had just come off the stage. I was doing Stomp in New York, and that was a very physical show. And at first, Stomp fans, but but at first it was really about capturing the physicality, and I thought that all I really had to do was be an actor. But what ended up happening was Rob Coleman, John Knoll, ILM, we kind of we were all Jar Jar. So it became this real symbiotic relationship. And we developed a style and a language and a code, literal code, as well as on-set and on-site code that really was the blueprint for what motion capture acting is today. And, you know, it wasn't without its hiccups and it wasn't without its challenges. It was extremely challenging. We didn't know what was going to work, what wasn't going to work, so we just did everything. So even after principal photography was over, I was at ILM, and it was me, George, and John and Rob, and we were all just trying to figure this thing out and how it was going to go and what it was going to do. When, because it was all just in George's head. You know what I mean?
I think now we take for granted a character can be all digital, the 3 characters can be all digital, and there's a standardized process to it. But that must have been something you were figuring out day to day.
Yeah,
in the
we
moment.
all were. I mean, even Liam and Ewan and Natalie and Jake and all of us, we were trying to figure out how believable this was going to be in the real world. And what was exciting about it was we were all on this, we were just pioneers in this way of acting, right? Even if you were on camera, you still had to interact with me in a way that was believable, right? And a lot of the takes would be with me and then without me. So I would always be off screen when the takes were being done without me, but being able to figure that out with everybody in the room, it really felt like what film is supposed to be, this collaborative experience where all of the artists are in a space and we have a challenge and we're all facing this challenge together.
What was the first time you saw a finished clip of Jar Jar, and what was your reaction when you saw all of that work actually fully rendered and animated and completed?
I went to Skywalker Ranch to sit with George in the editing room. I made it a point to like always be around George because I just wanted to like learn as much as I could, you know? Yeah. So I would like drive to work with him, you know what I'm saying? I would like sit behind him on set even on my days off. So everybody would be like, what are you doing here? And I'm just like, I don't know, nothing to do, you know? But I was really just trying to learn everything that I could. So I went up to Skywalker one time and watched George edit, and that's when I saw like the fully rendered scene with Liam in that first scene where I'm just walking across and he's like, you know, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent, all that part, that whole part. And that's what I saw in the editing bay. And watching George put all of that together with the CG elements and the live elements and the special effects and the VFX was just phenomenal. And that's when I was just like, oh, this could actually work. Like this is going to be a thing, you know? The gravity of it really didn't hit me until the movie came out, you know what I mean? And the believability, whether positive or negative, made everyone realize that this was possible, right? That you can believe the character regardless of medium. And so that's when it really hit me that this was definitely a pioneering exercise and movies would never be the same.
And you still work, you know, very closely with, you know, motion capture performance technology and stuff like that over the past 20 years. What are some of the progress and developments in the technology and in the performance that have impressed you or surprised you?
You know, it's become a lot cheaper, which is super interesting. You know, I direct a lot, and as a director, when I direct motion capture acting, I look at how far the technology has come and how fast you can put on a mocap suit and have a rendered character in pretty much a day. Now there are like motion capture suits for like $1,500 that you can just get, and you know, everybody knows the Unity engine or the Unreal engine, which is like a gaming engine that is used to render characters for gaming. But all you really need are the points. And you know, I'm writing this one-man show with Frank Oz, and we're going to do live performance capture in the show.
That's fantastic.
And we're just trying to figure out.
I also love how how slick you were with the Frank Oz.
Casual.
This is a good room to casually drop Frank Oz.
Yeah,
that was very nice.
One of the best human beings. You know, I've known Frank since Phantom Menace days, right? And he and I had always been kind of in light touch. So he's just one of the sweetest, most empathic human beings on the planet, and I'm just so incredibly privileged to be a friend of his and to be working with him as an artist. it really is hard for me not to ask Muppet questions, because all I want to do is talk about the Muppets, right?
I feel like he's probably
Same.
used to that.
He doesn't talk about the Muppets. He's just like, okay, let's get back to this. And I'm like, come on, but Kermit. But doing that and working with real-time live mocap on the day and seeing where it came from, it's just such a technology that has grown and evolved in a short amount of time. In 20 years, film, the way film is and the way film is captured hasn't changed in 100 years, right? But mocap 20 years ago is leaps and bounds better, stronger, faster than it is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way it is now, it just, exponentially has changed.
That's incredible. That's
amazing.
absolutely incredible to watch.
So, as we sort of wrap things up here, number one, thank you again for coming to Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
This was the one visit we were both... Actually, we were going to fight to the death.
Yeah. Andy and I, you may notice, Andy and I, when interviews are happening, we're not out on stage at the same time very often, but when we heard you were coming, there was a thumb war, there was an arm wrestling.
Yeah, it got nasty. So we were both very excited for you to come here, and I'm sure everybody else can agree.
Thank you, guys.
We're all just thrilled to have you here at Celebration.
Yeah. And if you could look back 20 years later and think now, if there was one takeaway you would like people to take from the Jar Jar character, what would it be?
Well, here's how I always played Jar Jar, and I always thought about Jar Jar, and even through all that he has been through the movies, and even with the new fan theories.
Which I wholeheartedly subscribe to.
Oh, that's some good reading.
May or may not be true. I can't confirm or deny.
He's the key to everything.
But the thing about Jar Jar that I think really resonates with me and really was how I played the character was the fact that regardless of everything that he's been through, regardless of who he's with, where he is, or decisions that he's made, he'll never let you down. And as you watch the movies and each scene that Jar Jar's in, Jar Jar is just making everyone know and everyone believe that regardless of what you say to him, what you do with him, he will always be there for you and he'll never let you down.
Yeah. Ahmed Best, thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you.
This
Give it up one
galaxy
more
would not be
time.
Appreciate you.
And we'll be back with more from Star Wars Celebration right here on the Star Wars Show, live presented by Geico in just a minute. Don't go away.